All right, guys, we're going to be doing some factoring a quadratics in which the leading coefficient A is not going to be equal to 1 this time. It's going to be a little bit more complicated. But to help you guys out, I went ahead and put a little chart over here on the left to help us out. So the first thing we want to do is we want to look for a greatest common factor. And if I look at 2, 11, and 5, you should notice automatically there is not a greatest common factor in there. Okay, 2 doesn't divide 11, 2 doesn't divide 5, and not all of them have an X on it. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I am going to multiply A times C, which is 2 times 5, and that equals to 10. And I am going to list all the factors of 10. So for example, 2 times 5, 1 times 10, and that's going to lead it with that. Okay, so 2 times 5 and 1 times 10, those are the only ones that'll give us the 10. And then we're going to determine which pair adds to the B value. So in this case, we're looking for what adds to 11. So what you're going to notice in this case is that 1 plus 10 equals to 11. So this must be our set. Now, what I like to do is I like to use the area model with this. And what that means is I go ahead and take that 2x squared. I go ahead and put it right there, smack dab in that first corner. And then what I do is I add the 5 to the end. And then the values of the numbers that we just found, which were 1 and 10. So I'm going to put 1x and 10x. Now, when I factor out, I'm going to be looking for the greatest common factor. Okay, and it actually says find the greatest common factor from the first row, find the greatest common factor from the second row. Okay, so look at the first row right here. What do they have in common? They have an X. So I'm going to pull an X out. Okay, then I'm going to say, I'm going to find the greatest common factor of the second row. What do these guys have in common? That 10x and 5, they have a positive 5. So I'm going to put a positive 5 right here. And then after that, I need to just fill out what is left over at the top. Well, I know x times 2x will give me this 2x squared. Okay, and then I just check to make sure I've done it right so far. 2x times 5 is 10x, so we're good. Okay, and then what I do is I say, okay, well, let's go ahead and factor out what is common out of the 1x and the 5, or I could say, what do I multiply x by to get that 1x? Well, that's just simply 1. 1 times x is x, and then I can say 1 times 5 is 5. So we've actually factored this now. It is x plus 5 and 2x plus 1. Now, some people right now are going to say, man, I don't know if I can remember that. How do I do that in desmos? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to desmos. So we put in that equation, 2x squared plus 11x plus 5. And the first thing I'm going to do is look for the roots. And you're going to notice we have a root at -5. And then we also have a weird root right over here, which is going to be at -0.5. So the thing that I know is this is x plus 5. And then this root right here is x plus 0.5. And what we need to pay attention to is that we have an A value of 2 that's in there. Now, how does that relate to our answer that we had on our class kicks of 2x plus 1? Well, check it out. I already know that x plus 5 is a whole valued, there's no decimals in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute that 2 into the second one. So I get 2x, 2 times a half is 1. So I get 2x plus 1. Check it out. It completely aligns with what we had right there. Okay, so now let's go ahead and maybe work on a second one in our next video.